here we go. Jin Air on the blue side this time around. As I mentioned before, how are things going to change in terms of the pick and bans, or will they not change much at all? Will SKT go along that same mindset, or will Jin Air do the same?
I find it very surprising to see Jin Air on both sides banning the Azir when it's Justice's most played champion this season. They seem to have a read that SKT will take it very early in the draft on the red side and ostensibly first pick on the blue side. And while that's not out of the realm of consideration, it's not necessarily as in keeping with the recent tournament meta. The Varus ban suggests probably no Olaf this game, but the Skarner being taken away was also a nod in that direction. See if Justice will show us something new. Again, only 3 champions played this season, the Azir, Aurelion Sol, and the Orianna. Still patch 8.3, so still the pesky Pirate to ban away.
Yep, don't want to see that guy. Too much free gold on him. We are going to have Kalista taken away a second time once again on the red side. Was taken away by Jin Air the first time around. And Jin Air going to go for the immediate lock-in of Ryze, just like SKT did in Game 1.
No need to mess with anything creative. Ryze is a tier-less choice. Other teams have moved away from the Ryze, but being rebuffed in many ways on patch 8.4 with the new Seraph's Embrace, so no surprise to see it first picked. They will lose the pick of the junglers in trade if it is in fact Sejuani that SKT want, but Blossom defaults to Jarvan so much they might have a lower priority on it than other teams, as Blossom's having a bit of fun.
We're certainly like to see him play some
And
Mastery,
look what we're going to see. We're going to see some Zoe on the final match day before her power level is taking a huge dive. Zoe has received a lot of ironic jeers in recent memory, but in taking the Ezreal Zoe, they give up Xayah Rakan that Jin Air have not found a lot of success on. 0 and 2 on the duo, but seem priced in to picking up on the blue side. Ryze has been seen traditionally as a very decent matchup into the Zoe. Can easily opt into the Abyssal Mask and a fairly magic resist heavy build, just like Faker showed us in game number 1. But a treat to see Faker on the pick. 3rd game of the season for him, and All-Star as well. The 4th game, you would say, for Faker on the Zoe.
Definitely became famous for spamming her on his stream, and he's brought it finally into the competitive light. He's been doing pretty decently on that one, as you mentioned. Let's see what SKT wants to go for as their last pick. Gnar left available. It was spammed the first time around by SKT, so you can tell that they really feel like this is a super strong pick on 8.3.
And they really want lane pressure topside, stop there being multiple losing lanes with the Zoe. Zoe with winning lanes, fantastic. Zoe, if top lane is being pushed in, can be invaded on and turret dived. So you're going to see the Gnar picked up here for SKT, an old favorite of Untara. Gnar, Trundle, and Jax, his effective champion pool so far this season when it comes to wins. And actually going to pay respect to Sowan's roots and ban away a lane-dominant champion, even though Sowan this season has largely been on tanks. The Riven and the Jace are his bread and butter. So a Jace coverage ban just in case Sowan wants to go aggressive.
You know, honestly, Untara, he's been good sometimes, shaky other times, and I think this is a good idea. You just go ahead and just remove any chance that he gets crushed in a lane. I don't know what kind of monster that thing is, but it has Faker next to it. I think it's Ryze.
It's definitely Ryze. It's zombie Ryze. But we know that Faker doesn't use skins, so there you go.
It's very scary.
Blossom on the screen did absorb a Sejuani ban. And look at this, Sion's going to be banned away. So the 2 champions who first beat and then outlast the Gnar have been answered. Under Sowan will return to AD Kennen. I think that's a very real chance that we'll see that pick in this game. Kennen's one of the last champions, AP or AD, you can run into the Gnar fairly competitively. So the Jarvan ban was what I was looking for, a second ban, because that is the ultra comfort for Blossom. He moved to 5 and 1 on Jarvan. The Zac available, but does change the tempo of the draft, less early skirmishing, and they're going to last pick jungle and take an early Leona. We saw Gorilla take an early Leona first round for Kingzone. Now the Leona's taken here, trying to really ratchet down on a single member of Jin Air.
Wow, Wolf up to 306 assists.
3,000.
Yeah, 3,006 assists. He must have gotten that in the last game based on all the kills that were happening. So nice little goal for him to get past.
I believe he was the second player to get there behind Gorilla. So those are the 2, I believe, that are above 3,000 career assists in the LCK. Congratulations to Wolf on that one. The Orin is just kind of the more defensive side of the coin when it comes to top lane. It's what I expected before the Jace ban, so no surprise there. The budget Sion in some ways compared to the meta right now.
Someone looked really unhappy when the Jace got banned, so you can tell he wanted to play something fun. Sorry, guys, he's going to be playing Ornn.
Won't be going to Kennen, so they don't want to go for a dive. I feel like Kennen and Kha'Zix would have caused a bit of pandemonium, but one of them gets locked down with a trouble bubble and they die. The Zac makes sense now that they've drafted here and they've got the full information on the side of Jin Air. It's not fun against the Kha'Zix in the early game, but they have Gnar top side and they have the Zoe mid lane, so you could get away with the Zac, but they seem to have made a last-second adjustment. They want a bit more flexibility and also another champion that can put into the Trinity Force and be a split pusher in his own right. They finally set on the Jax. They did not want a situation where Umti had a big skirmish advantage, even with strong lanes. They've decided that a skirmish advantage cannot be allowed to Umti. Good read for me. I think Jin Air win almost all their games when Umti is on a Kha'Zix compared to a tank jungler on the other side. So a bit more combative from the Jax.
Yeah, goes on to the Jax. Was one of the rookies you were mentioning coming in and making a big difference in 2018 LCK. Lots of signs for him today. That last sign actually said, Blossom is lighting a fire in my heart, I believe. And it was a play on the words of saying Blossom in Korean. So definitely a lot of fans coming in for this player. It's fun to watch an aggressive jungler come in and be a little bit reckless, but also have a lot of success and bring your favorite team back onto the map. So definitely a lot of fans for him.
And especially if you're a younger follower of the competitive scene, I think it's very easy to look at how much energy he has and kind of the youthful exuberance of Blossom and imagine yourself in his shoes on SKT with some of the legends of the game. I think a lot of people are kind of living through Blossom when it comes to really his journey here, out of nowhere, being picked up ostensibly as a squad player, now a starter, now being built around with how SKT execute. It has been a meteoric rise for Blossom in spring season 2018. It's going to be a fun one here. Can we see the games get longer and longer? Is the 95 Dream alive or dead? We're going to find out.
That's the real question, guys. The countdown has started. Let's jump into game number 2 of SKT versus Jin Air. Just kidding. We do have a pause, guys. As you did see, Wraith was taking off his headset.
We got you guys too excited. Pulled a KT roster on you. Seems like we're going to have some last-second adjustments here. We'll give you any updates if we receive them from our producer.
Debated hardcore this time around. Been having fun with that today. As Sungke doing his job as well, kind of entertaining the crowd here with the pause.
He is a Korean hype man, not the most famous Korean hype man. That would be Kasa Jun, of course, who has appeared on the English stream many times, but the Spo TV equivalent. Maybe Spo TV just accounted 4.5 hours for this series and is now finding ways to delay. But guys, of course, on the serious side, only reason the game doesn't start is for technical problems for the players, and it's a headset issue. This time for Jin Air. That's usually the KT and King's Zone problem, but now it seems to be a Jin Air one.
Looks like we're good to go, though, as Wraith, he's given the nod. He says, yes, we're all ready to go. I like his watch, by the way. Very minimalistic, but also very chic and cool.
Are we gonna have your fashion segment here?
Yeah, you know, I used to wear a watch all the time, but the band actually broke, and I've been very lazy for quite a while to fix it. But
you're gonna walk over to Wraith,
and he's on point with his fashion.
You're gonna ask about the Wraith watch, maybe get your own one, you know, copy his style.
You know, it's pretty good.
Would you say it's geek chic?
Geek chic. Yeah. I don't know. Wraith doesn't really give off that, you know, geek vibe. He's kind of one of the cooler players we have here.
Geek chic is really fun to say, though, so that's why I say it.
Yeah.
Well, on the one hand, we have the Zoe, known for pirating summoner spells and items, and then we have a Pirate Rise, so I like that little synergy in the mid lane.
Double cleanse from Faker and from Justice, and they both have the unsealed spellbook.
What does it mean, Valdez?
It means, well, they can change their summoner spells, and also the cooldown is reduced on the summoner spells, Papa.
I see that you're really a riot at parties with this
yeah.
One-note seriousness. They're going for a mid lane gank.
You know, if that had hit, They may have done, you know, half his health and damage.
If Bang had been there was a potential for a kill, but they had not enough damage, even after flashes. Speaking of flashes.
You know, that's actually very unfortunate. Bang coming in later and gets caught. Nice little job there from Wraith to force the flash.
There's always an answer when a team pushes up too far or looks for a level 1 play. We see very little level 1 action in the LCK these days, and in competitive play in general, which is disappointing. I want to see plenty of action around Umti on the Kha'Zix, because it's always a prized pick. For Jin gets frequently banned against Umti to not allow him to get into aggressive matchups, and Jax does have self-peel. He's less likely to be all-in and killed in the early game, but this is Umti on Ultra Comfort. We'll see what Ultra Comfort will actually reap for the Jin GreenWings.
Yeah, Blossom should have a much easier time on the Jax comparatively to the Zach if he has to go 1v1. We'll see how he does do in this matchup. Definitely the Jax, another one of those guys that can just step forward, load up your Counter-Strike and say, come at me, bro. And basically no one goes at him because, especially if you're ahead, Jax can be pretty annoying to deal with.
The standard meta in Korea largely has been Cinderhulk into Trinity Force. We saw Cuz with a great game where he went tank Jax to answer multiple Trinity Force comp that Freak of Freaks love to run. In this sort of a game, expected to be back to Trinity Force, I would imagine, here for Blossom and give them another side-pushing option. Scuttle Crab being exchanged with the red buffs. Seems like mostly a power clear for Blossom compared to Kha'Zix, who always likes to keep his options open.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about it, but Blossom, as you mentioned, is taking every camp that he can. It's definitely a safer full clear. You can get onto that red buff before the enemy jungler can get in there, unless he's going super aggressive. Save your smite for this big raptor, then go ahead and clear everything.
Just spent a lot of time in base considering different options, but eventually we'll just teleport to mid lane with Tyr. No surprises at all. We're watching the bot lane, where we'll see if Teddy and Wraith can find more success on the Lovers bot lane. Again, they've been touted as some of our best laners here, and certainly have had their moments, both Teddy and Wraith, but this exact duo, which usually does play to the strengths of players like Teddy and Wraith, so far has eluded any victories for the side of Jin.
I do like the Leona pick, rather, into this bottom lane. You can link up the stuns one after another, 1, 2, 3, if you are clean, as Wolf is. He's very clean. We saw his Alistair playing game number 1, and would expect some of the same out of Wolf. Sometimes it's hard to lock down the Xayah, but definitely if the Rakan is missing some summoner spells, you can try to one-combo him down.
Guys at home are wondering what the identities are here as the game scales on. SKT with Zoe and Ezreal. Very strong in the 4-1. They have Gnar, who's strong in the side lane. But the fun thing for them is, my expectation is Trinity Force Jax also to potentially play around the top side. If Baron is down in the late game, is also a great split pusher in his own right. Because the Jax not very useful in the 4-man siege, kind of walks up and puts his counter-strike and threatens a leap strikes. Not much talking there. It's much more team fight from Jin as Blossom gets face-checked by Umti.
Yeah, he's going to have to ward hop away, but they're thinking about coming in here. Wraith is actually roaming on up, but in comes the rise, and down goes the Jax. First blood goes over to Justice. Blossom getting a little bit too deep. Nice of Umti to be there as well.
And just poor coordination with his lanes. Bang and Wolf were pushed in bot side, so Wraith's roam was not spotted. The instant cast CC helps in the mid lane. Blossom goes for a bit of a warding mission and gets the maximum punishment. Good job by Jin. See the replay here. You can see what Blossom wants to do. He wants to get information about the Raptors, put down the deep vision. He sees a Scuttle Crab and thinks, oh, lucky day. I'm going to get Scuttle Crab also to get full information about wards. Unfortunately for him, bot lane had entirely rotated. Leona was out of position to help because the lane wasn't expecting that level of aggression from their jungler. That has been the downside of Blossom, is that he's not as practiced, he's not as clean as previous SKT junglers have largely been when it comes to starting junglers for SKT. That means that there will be these moments in the early game where there's a very clear VOD review for Koma and friends to do, where it's like, okay, these are the reasons you couldn't do that, this is why you were punished. Largely his adaptations have been good, but there's always going to be moments like this that make you scratch your head a little bit.
Yeah. Good roam from Wraith, making that all a possibility, and it does mean that the Rise in the mid lane, using his flash to get on in there, is going to be down of his cleanse, which he switched into teleport, but also his flash. So if Faker lands something and Blossom can be there, they have an opportunity to try to turn this one around. Speaking of which, Faker doesn't have his Q back up.
And also, Blossom less likely to be looking for too many aggressive plays with his own flash down. Take your point, but I think he'll be fine here, and Faker will take a long time to load up to the damage numbers he needs. Faker's been one of our few mid laners that is taking the stopwatch very commonly on a lot of champions. I think if you have the global taunt like Faker does, not the worst read.
Oh boy.
Umti has not been spotted.
Not again. He doesn't have flash, and well, he's gonna come in here with the Realm Warp, and he can only fight at this point. He's trying to get away, but that's a second death. Once again, trying to clear the control ward. You have another fight down here in the bottom lane as Wolf goes aggressive, but they're turning this onto the Bang, who actually gets ignited and has to back off.
That was fortuitous for Umti, just evolves his ultimate, is not spotted. That time Blossom was trying to be more defensive, but not defensive enough. He's taken down. Ward count so low in the early game. So on, gonna take an aggressive trade from Untara, but they're losing a lot of their lanes, and Untara now is gonna take a pretty deep chunk in the top side.
Oh, this might be even a kill here. He doesn't have his leap up just yet. So on getting close, he forces the flash out there. Of course, with the flash still available, no kill coming in, but a good trade from Sowan.
Yeah, it's really nicely done. There's windows when you play the Ornn where you actually have kill threat. The early game, the damage has not been nerfed on patch 8.3, and notice that Sowan actually took a very big risk this game. He's gone Grasp of the Undying in the Gnar matchup. Every other time we've seen Ornn versus Gnar, because it's a range matchup, you don't expect to be able to proc the Grasp. You go for the Unsealed Spellbook and take Ignite early. This time he goes for the Grasp. You were kind of baited if you're Untara into thinking, okay, they're not going to take any trades, no Ignite to complete the kills. You almost got the kill anyway. Nice aggression coming through from Sowan.
Just knowing what he can do, Untara just a little bit too aggressive early on. And now he doesn't have his flash. And with the decently fed Umti on the Kazakhs, we'll see if they try to make any plays up towards the top side.
Definitely going to have an epically farmed and fed Ryze this game, maybe behind in CS, but the roaming has been profitable to the tune of 2 kills. Rite of Ages is sometimes opted into against a Zoe. You'd think Abyssal Mask every day of the week, but Rite of Ages to at least have trade damage. You see a portal jump, you Q, W, you won't be able to keep the root going, but you get a nice little trade in there. Bang & Wolf trying to create a pressure valve because mid lane, Zoe early game is not going to be able to have any kill threat. Top lane, the flash is down. Blossom is on the defensive as well, so it's kind of on Bang & Wolf on this kind of mismatch Ezreal-Leona duo to create something for SKT early. Otherwise, Jinna just completely own the Rift, and they'll be trying to double down and kill Blossom a 3rd time before his flash is even off cooldown.
Teddy not going to push that wave, actually. Wants to go back and pick up his BF sword before anything. Also picks up Ninja Tabi, which makes trading in the lane a lot better for him. Bang himself just went back and picked up a Sheen. Some more parts there as well.
We don't often see the Boots 2 rush come through. Might have been just that there wasn't enough gold for a Caulfield's Warhammer, but if you understand that every other lane is losing, why not take the Ninja Tabi to have Boots 2 to try to sidestep the Zenith Blade from the Leona or the Solar Flare, and also to allow you to win trades against the Sheen Ezreal that inevitably will be against you. So I think it's pretty heads up to think the only way for SKT, where the lanes are, is to make a play like this. Why not have the extra boots and the movement speed and combat stats of the Ninja Tabi to stay competitive?
Trading ult for ult there. You can see that, or rather, Wolf is trying to make a play towards the mid lane now with Justice switching off the cleanse, but he was spotted on a very deep ward very early, and that's because Umti has so much control right now in the jungle. You can get down wards like that. You can see the control ward near mid actually misses that deep ward, and so they back off, no kill comes in, and Wolf not able to make that incredible support play that he usually likes to do.
Very different build from Umti than we've seen recently. No Boots of Mobility Rush, that is the big favorite. We often see Tracker's Knife into Boots of Mobility in competitive play and solo queue, just to abuse our evolution first. Has gone for Warriors, so that means he has much earlier a lot of damage if he's able to gap close, and also a much greater ability to solo down the Mountain Drake. Haven't got a control ward on it, so the threat of the Drake going down is delayed. It does actually relieve pressure from laners, knowing that there's less angles the Kazakhs can come out of stealth and really attack someone like Faker on.
Is it going to happen a 3rd time? That's really the question. Umti actually coming on in here, trying to bait it. Doesn't work out.
To Blossom's credit, he wasn't going as far in, but this time Umti's smelling blood.
Level 8 to level 7. This time it's only one-on-one, but he's certainly going to push Blossom out of the river here.
SKT have fought very hard to have river control on the bot side to at least raise some doubt for the Xayah Rakan and try to get some pressure bot side. It feels like with how strong Umti is at this point in the game with the Warriors, the Drake should be free food for the side of Jin, but that's been delayed. So the Drake win condition is already being pushed away. We're not going to have 5 spawns this game, that for certain. Could just be a Rift Herald take because so much vision is being invested bot side. But for now, Umti, he feels the draw of playing around the bot side and being there for a counter game.
Spotted on a ward backing was Justice, and this means that Blossom very confidently can be his aggressive self, get those deep wards in, try to spot out Umti deep in the jungle.
I bet Umti is one of the big junglers here in Korea who's very excited about Tracker's Knife being removed.
Oh, yeah. Every
aggressive jungler, I'm sure, is hyped about being able to take red or blue smite, start messing up some people. And that is Umti's playstyle through and through. I've been thinking about what I expect. You know, we've been able to watch a bit of EU LCS, NALCS, and get a flavor for what's good. I feel like champions who battle ward will be very powerful because you can't have the permanent vision of the Tracker's Knife. There's just less vision, and the warding trinket wards are very short duration. Maybe now the best way to have vision control is to take the Nidalee or the Kha'Zix, get in the enemy jungler's face, and dictate to him in that way. So we'll see if that plays true or whether we'll see a more passive playstyle in Korea. I'm trying to be glass half full. Korea is usually the ultra pessimistic or ultra defensive choice, but a man can dream, Valdez.
I remember we had a discussion right when those changes were first put on the PvE, I believe, and we were talking about how maybe because there's less vision, people will just play more scared and say, well, I can't go in there, I can't do this, so I'm just going to play even more passively. But again, glass half full, we can always hope.
But every time Umti walks into the enemy jungle and sees Jax saunter away, then bot lane is happy to push up. There is the inherent advantage of playing a combat lead jungler, but kind of the problem is that very, very squishy is Umti, and one Paddle Star is starting to get to the point where it chunks most of the life out of the Kha'Zix.
Yeah, just one item, the Sorcerer's Boots here. That's all you can do. It's really just, as you mentioned, not a very tanky Kha'Zix at this point.
You're wondering about the max from Wraith. He's gone 3 points shield into 2 points grand entrance. I feel like there's the least agreement on Rakan of almost any champion in the league is Antara. That's
boy,
some
he's
sick
in
burst.
trouble. I mean, he does have the Mega Gnar here. He's trying to stun him up, but there's 3 people on top of him, and he's gonna go down here. Very unfortunate positioning for Antara.
You say unfortunate, I say questionable. They have no control top side. Everything from the side of SKT is invested bottom side. He goes for a walk through the river. He should not be surprised to get outnumbered. That's the only area Jin control. Antara should not have been there. Gives up his life, and it's going to lead to an objective trade, but it should have just been objectives traded. There's a bonus to the side of Jin, and now at the tune of 3 kills from largely very avoidable deaths by SKT.
Yeah. Well, we've seen what happens. At least not all the kills are onto Umti, the Kha'Zix, but we've seen what happened when Kha'Zixes get really fed. Just, we had one game, I forget who it was, but a Kha'Zix had 5 kills, and they were just showing up in your backline and one-shotting the 80 carries. So you got to be careful about feeding these carry junglers. Not to mention our Rise, who is feeling quite fed himself. Justice having a fun game here.
The Rise is definitely the one you wince about. On 8.4, he has even higher AP ability, but it's going to be a little bit lower numbers on the side of Justice. Regardless, it means that whenever he takes these trades, he's going to have the Rod of Ages scaled up to actually be able to put out a decent amount of damage back to Faker. Will it be equivalent? No, it's still Zoe, but it is better and better compared to expectation here. You don't expect to be 2-0 the first 10 minutes to Rise. He got both his kills before his first damage item was done.
Certainly has to feel good for him. We'll see if they can set up any play. You'll notice that both the junglers are spending a lot of time around mid.
It's the most fearsome time for Umti. He has a load of AD already now.
He's going in here. The portal jump is going to be moved up, but doesn't go for it.
He's insanely far ahead of Blossom at this item timing.
That's why they're going. Disengage, but they can't quite here. Umti's going to jump in, but Wolf from downtown is going to get the ultimate down and kills that Kha'Zix a little bit too far forward that time around.
You understand why Umti wants to be aggressive. He loves his item timings. He disregards the stopwatch that Faker has taken. Stopwatch may be out of the meta largely. It's not gone. And Faker gets the beautiful stopwatch bait that we haven't seen in a long time.
Perfectly played by the side of SKT, especially after their struggles here in the early game of game number 2.
Amusingly, Wolf was the one over the wall to pick up the kill.
Yeah.
So red buff means that now he even extra wants to be going for the aggressive Zenith Blades to buff up the trades. Going to be a while till Solar Flare. But watch the replay. Umti is loaded. It's against Cinderhawk only Jax when he has Boots of Mobility and a Serrated Dirk. That's why they feel strong enough to go. But Leona's coming back from base, so they're outnumbered in this play. And the stopwatch gets so much value for Faker. Able to stopwatch, kill going over to Wolf. Endlessly amusing, but the play from Jin, the right mindset, but just too far on the pendulum towards aggression.
Yeah, fortunate timing there for SKT. Good play out of Wolf to make that all happen, so they do have a chance here. Wolf going to take this moment to actually get some really deep wards into the red side.
Who wants to mess with this red buff level 9 Leona?
Yeah, and not just that, but as I mentioned before, still no cleanse here for Justice, so he's looking for a play mid. Could turn into a bit of a 3-on-2 here, but Jin smartly this time around is going to disengage.
When it's jungle Jax, there is always the danger of overforcing because he's not hapless. He may be 0-2-1, slowly inching his way towards Trinity Force, but he has great ability to disengage. He has his flash up. They need to be more controlled aggression from Jin, and this is just outright aggression from SKT, seeing the members of Jin on this deep control ward.
So one has the teleport advantage in this moment in time, so they have to be careful. You can see he's backing off right now, thinking about a chance, but just going to drop down the ward as SKT does back out of the red side jungle.
But you see how SKT play this. When they have a vision lead with the deep control ward, they're on the aggression. A control ward is put defensively at red. They back away. They realize no harm, no foul. Thought there was a chance. There wasn't one. No overinvestment this time by SKT. Nice controlled play. Bot lane, the farm phase is still going. Bang is at 2 items, and this is where you would love as SKT to crash the bot lane turret and rotate mid with how much control is available to the Ezreal. First non-Trinity Force Ezreal in a while as Umti decides to load up with the Rift Herald top side. It's going to get the kill onto this turret.
Yeah, the mid turret was getting decently low, had taken some earlier damage, but they decided to use it top anyway. They want to take down this lower turret for 100% kill.
And Umti should stay topside to get at least a charge onto the second turret. Blossom playing some vertical jungling, so this has kind of been the story. Jin control top side of the map, SKT most powerful on the bot side. And they're gonna get a very high health charge here too, so this is a successful Rift Herald, all things considered. But SKT, they understand their situation. They've lit at the bot side with wards, they're giving up things on the top side. Umti, a bit optimistic to think someone's gonna walk into the Raptors and just get one shot. I always love these situations where you can very clearly pause the game and say this is where one team is strong and weak, and the opposite is true for the other team, and both teams seem to know right now, because there will be a time where vision lines change and players are too slow to adapt to the fact that no longer are Jin strong on the top side and SKT strong on the bot side. Eventually, the battle line is drawn diagonally through the river rather than vertically, and that's the sort of time where the most interesting plays can happen, when the vision starts to time out, when the globals can be put to good use. For now, though, everyone just being defensive, taking their wins, minimizing their losses, that will change over time.
We're going to have another Mountain Drake coming out today. Not sure what it is with the Mountain Drakes on this certain day. It's raining outside. It's warm, it's wet out there, and for some reason we're getting a bunch of Mountain Drakes instead. We had the one Cloud Drake earlier, but no Ocean Drakes.
Infernals have been denied, but I'll take mountains, that's fine. I feel like there's never been a day where we had too many mountains, so I'll take it.
That is true.
Ocean, Cloud, Infernal, I remember all those days. Every telecom war, instantly 3 Infernal Drake spawns. Telecom war this coming week also is very hype. On Thursday, first match is SKT KT. And that's going to be in the back of the heads of SK Telecom T1 today, wanting to continue their good run of form and end up 5-1. trying to play bot side, but we already mentioned this is where the translation of vision needs to happen. It hasn't fully happened yet, although Blossom trying to play aggressively.
You can see the chunk that's coming out here. The Paddle Star is going to miss as SKT. Overall, Faker going to make that trade a little bit better in terms of SKT's point of view.
Never really feels like a trade when the Paddle Star is full range. Feels like shellacking. It's one of the reasons why people are very happy that this should be last day of Zoe here in Korea after the very heavy-handed nerfs on patch 8.4. I haven't seen nerfs celebrated that hard in a while when it comes to a meta pick.
Yeah. It was definitely kind of annoying for people, not just in solo queue, but in the competitive scene. Might have a bit of a fight here as Wolf is thinking about it, but Wraith, he's taking cleanse with that unsealed spellbook. He's looking to be a lot more mobile in these fights. Doesn't want to be locked down by Wolf. Doesn't want to be countered in that way.
Do notice that SKT have got defensive vision where they were weak, the top side. The top side is no longer controlled by Jin Air. Jin Air, accordingly, trying to reclaim the bot side of the map. That's where most of the objectives are that are relevant at this point in the game before Baron is a realistic objective. But they don't have full control. Feels like a jump scare is about to happen by one team or the other.
Certainly could. SKT have the ability to just let this go, but they're not going to. Double TP coming on in. They're waiting for it. They want to get on to Rise, but Wraith is right there. Going to lock down Blossom, and down he will go. The Ornn ultimate going to lock down everyone else. Wolf getting a little bit too far forward, forced to flash out of there. That means the Mountain Drake should certainly go over to Jin Air, and that it does. Faker trying to do some damage on the top side, but the objective has already been taken, and Jin Air have disengaged. A flash coming in here. Faker, he wants to close the gap. Gonna flash, force the real flash out of Sowon as they cannot secure a kill.
Yeah, the aggression at the end, very weird from SKT with Sowon still having his flash up, only able to trade summoners. All things good, they really want to answer the Drake with a turret as looking for the pick onto Dust, don't get it.
Yeah, they're gonna miss that one. Wolf tanking up so much in the front lines as they want to lock someone down and get Wolf out of dodge here. They can't quite
Teddy's
get the
up.
turret. Teddy's gonna flash forward. He wants some kills here. The Featherstorm gonna come in with the stun. It actually saves Wolf up on the top side. He's duking, he's diving, and he gets out of there. Wolf somehow surviving after all of that. Nicely done. No kill will come forward.
The great escape from Wolf after everything. Teddy used his summoner for that. Summoners being used so liberally. This is the time when SKT straight up won game one around 23 minutes. Jin Air trying to get that sort of a passage of play, deny SKT being overly aggressive in their chance to take a turret. Teddy's back is going to be stopped. Both these teams feeling like the game is there to be won right now.
SKT certainly someone turned on the light switch because they wanted to go aggressive.
Yeah, Blossom is in the front line. I think he's too behind to be making plays like this. He's very squishy. He's going 24-second and is playing like he's gap closing with damage behind him. There was no damage. He dies. The Drake goes down. But SKT decide this is not over. But Justice is completely DPS'd out of the fight. So the surprise here is Untara, who gets the call, gets something onto Sowon. It's time to go. So very, very aggressive moves on this side here, but unable to pick up a kill. They turn onto Sowon. I like Sowon's work at the back end of this. I don't know if we'll get it in the replay, but when the turret dive is attempted by Wolf, I love the body blocking. He stands behind Wolf and controls a lot of space from here. There's no ability to push damage on the backline. I really like the positioning here as a tank, controlling space. That keeps the turret up, that keeps things going.
It actually lets Wolf survive too as he Zenith Blades onto Sowon.
Oh, the first side of the ultimate. It's level 2. Teddy would have thought he got the kill, unable to close the gap, and Wolf makes the great escape. That's the power of popping the potion as well, by the way, guys. He needed that.
Pop those potions, guys. Definitely one for the highlight reel here for SKT, even if they do not win the game. A bit of a morale boost, as I'm sure they were all screaming on the headsets in the booth after that play. So things kind of reset. Both teams pick up a Mountain Drake for themselves. A third one is coming, Papa. It's just never-ending Mountain Drakes today.
Baron threat for the side of Jin Air, much lower than other comms. It's Kha'Zix, it's not a support like Taric. It's the Rakan, so they're much more about playmaking than a Baron. SKT, they have Blossom and Untara to tank it up, so they have more Baron taking options, but they don't have great Baron speed. Even with the Play the Ruin King coming in third for Bang, they don't have as much Baron threat as most comps, so for at least this game. The mountains are kind of necessary for Baron threat to exist. We mentioned that SKT is about the siege. They need to get deep vision in to actually start that, and that's why they've been on the back foot for the majority of this game, with Blossom so far behind. Side of Jin Air GreenWings are about initiating fights. They're about team fighting. If SKT want to keep opting in, I don't see why Jin Air is going to wince away. They're going to also fight fire with fire, especially as Infinity Edge is the next completion for Teddy.
He's looking for that item. Hasn't completed it just yet, but you can see that the sights now for SKT are set onto this very low mid lane turret.
And now they're set onto Soa.
They're going to find him over here. He does get out for now, but locked down from the Leona ultimate. Looks like this might just be way too much. 5 members diving onto one tank. It's going to be enough to take him out.
And that's what SKT is good at, remembering flash cooldowns and collapsing when they see an opportunity. They're collapsing on Baron, it feels like, or at least getting Baron control. Another pick in Baron will be taken by SKT.
Certainly thinking about it. Too scared to go for it just now. 5 on 4, rather. But they are catching up. They get a pick. They get another turret now. They're building up that gold, catching up to Jin Air. Blossom really has to be careful. He's sitting at 0 and 3 and 2. Still doesn't have that Trinity Force, although he's working towards it now.
And this is the passage of game where Leona is at its strongest, because Leona, after a big team fight, is deadly, because she has the ability to lock down from range and basically perma-stun whenever you know that basically all flashes are down on the enemy. At the time, so on, I believe Wraith, Teddy's definitely were all down. That's when Leona walks up for the second round with her team, and a Solar Flare connects, and you're dead. So on, the true tank, was taken out there, so able to do the damage when the Leona was at the highest bit of strength. Ultimate just used by Sowan to delay the bot lane turret take by Gnar.
Thankfully, Faker not tilted yet in this game, not going to be pushing too far. We've seen that happen from time to time, very rarely, but MT going to make sure that he clears out that wave here. Again, as I said before, that third Mountain Drake looming on the horizon, 20 seconds away. Looks like SKT a bit more prepared to take that one at the moment.
Might be surprised to know. I mean, you can see it clearly on the screen, but if you think about it, that Kha'Zix went for W Evolution second. We don't see that as much in Korea. My read is in this particular game with not that many face checkers, it's about actually being able to W into a brush and get the little temporary vision and information that for now is difficult. Wraith doesn't really want to be face checking. He doesn't have a lot of health. He only has the Zeke's Convergence for extra tankiness, and Auron isn't going to be grouped. So W Evolution second on the Kha'Zix this game. It's all about just face checking and, of course, the incidental CC it provides in a fight.
Yeah, it's a very big slow, especially if the target is isolated. I think it's about 80%, so definitely offers the potential for picking if someone like Blossom wants to get out of position again.
And Wing a brush means not being picked by someone in there, so it's good on both sides. They can't face check that brush. They're not sure how many members are in there. Throw down a W, disengage. That's the playstyle right now for Umtiu. Really didn't want to be pinched by Untara on the bottom side.
They're going to start it up here, SKT. But Jin Air very aware of this. A ward right on top of that Mountain Drake. Looking to siege just a little bit with the help of Faker. Going to be landing this, but the engage from Wraith. He's going to get onto that back line. Blossom disappears, but they do get the Drake over to the side of SKT. But Jin Air, they say, hey, we take your jungle out. Let's go for Baron.
Yeah, see if it does mean Baron. That's, of course, the first thought. Remember, their Baron team needs Sowan to be on it, and they don't have the turn ultimate available in terms of the Core of the Forge God. I think this is a very low chance of a Baron start with the comp from Jin Air, but baiting the Baron, that is, of course, a smart play.
SKT very smart about it, though.
They've got the non-committal. They got the non-committal check from the Ezreal. Ezreal's not worried. It's just one of those insurance things where there's an outside chance they ignore their comp and start the Baron. Not a realistic one, though. 3 items now finished on Teddy. The Zeke's Convergence to buff up the Xayah damage. Xayah is at her greatest point of power. She's still good with more items. Right now, she is ripping through members of SKT, and when you go for a slow Trinity Force, something that we criticized Blank for doing on the Jax in past games, he is just going to die in a couple of autos from the Xayah.
Yeah, definitely feels like one of those useless Jax games. It's not going to quite be the 612 damage, but it's going to be close.
Get the replay here. Blossom caught in the CC, but is able to smite. Remember, can smite during CC, but not during suppression. Was able to use the smite there. 1-for-1, a Mountain Drake. Feels like the Mountain Drake won't be relevant in this game, but they're just turning on Blossom again.
Will be able to leap strike out of that one.
And they were able to see Leona on the sweeper, so that's why not as much aggression from Umti to try to finish the kill. Justice back to the side lane. 1-3-1 is still possible. It's not the winning 1-3-1 where you have Gnar rise. It's the budget 1-3-1 where someone can at least not lose a turret, but be there for a sick turret flank. Oh, sorry, TP flank later in the game. He's going to interrupt Antara. What a jerk.
That's about all he can do, as we don't really want to take a look at that lane. It's a very short lane, by the way. None of the bottom lane turrets have gone down, so they're just going to be fighting in that small choke. Because
it is Gnar versus Ornn, the Gnar can actually build for teamfight a lot more than most Gnar builds. When you see Gnar versus GP, you're priced in to build Phantom Dancer and damage. Just speaking of damage,
there's that pick we were talking about, the slow coming down onto Blossom, but the counter-strike keeping him alive for long enough here to get away.
But Gnar can have pressure on the Ornn with just one damage item, so you can go for teamfight tankiness.
They're getting that pick damage. Wraith got chunked by Faker in that last fight, and so Jin Air couldn't fully engage. So we're talking about the chunking that the Xayah can do, though. We got a little foreshadowing of that, of things to come, as he just autoed once and did a lot of damage there.
As a QSS to at least stop the trouble bubble, or even the first solar flare from being enough, but Leona's kit has so much that's usually not enough to fully disengage. Blossom gets chunked out again. And
he's
took a
so
turn on
low,
him.
And he's trying to clear the wards here. He's at least going to dodge that one. We have the Sleepy Trouble Bubble here onto Justice. Lots of damage coming out in the trade.
Someone not able to body block it, so now rises out of the fight.
Yeah, some flashing forward. They want to get someone here. It might be So1 again, and it looks like it will be on the backside as Jin Air backing off entirely. Teddy the only one who's fully healthy here, but he doesn't have the support of his team.
And with Double Mountain, it's time to start the Baron. So1 should have been able to tank for the Rise, doesn't. Rise can TP back in, but Baron's already super low.
MT coming on in. Wraith looking for the engage. It's going to go over to SKT. Let's see how many members they lose for it, though. That's going to be Wolf going down. Faker's going to miss on the kill. Untara, he wants to leap over, but it looks like, ooh, maybe not. Leaping over, it's only Wraith on the chase here. Can't quite get the damage down. He's still alive. And now Bang trying to push him back. They're all going to survive on the back. Only Wolf goes down for the Baron.
Jin Air gets greedy. Justice thinks he's got the one kill, and once more, they're not able to pick up enough to punish the Baron Tate. Great decisive Baron call with the Double Mountain and the control ward on the objective. Kha'Zix was never going to be there in time. Well played by SKT, and Jin Air playing with their food at the end. It was served up to be 2 to 3 kills. It only ends up being 1.
Well, let's take a look at the replay here. You can see Blossom, he's so low but clearing wards, but so much stuff is dodged here.
So 2 down moments for So1. Missing the ult, we're not going to talk about that, that's fine. He went for the shot, missed it. Should have been able to tank for Justice here, doesn't interrupt it, and then also his flash is late when the Solar Flare comes in. Because of that, Justice is out of the fight, there's nothing he can do. And then from here, Solar Flare is going to hit, the flash is late. Would have been spamming it earlier, but the duration was too long. And there, SKT make the smart Baron call. Didn't have a fantastic Baron team, but Double Mountain allows you to cheat. And they knew it was a 5v4. By the time Rise came in, the Baron was down. And now SKT have Baron with a Siege comp, have Baron with Zoe and Ezreal. And that's a pretty big headache for the side of Jin Air to have to respect.
Yep, definitely a very comfortable position for SKT now. It was a bumpy ride early on in Game 2, but they finally made it to their destination. We'll see if they can bring it all the way and what they can get from this Baron. Certainly have a lot of pressure. Double Mountain plus the Baron. So far, Blossom, he's just turned into the bait of this team. He's trying to bait everybody of Jin Air into a bad position. Counter-strike, maybe get a stun, and then just barely survive. Let's see if he can do it again.
Well, he's going to take 3 damage because he was in wards for a long while. It's a lot of standing gold for SKT to pick up. There's only been a single turret on the Rift picked up by them so far. Wolf doesn't have the Baron, so isn't able to get any extra damage in. So for now, the delay, the Baron buff power play, only representing the gold so far. Can't push past So1, who's doing his best Sion impression on the Ornn. So far, this is a pretty sick Baron defense by Jin Air.
SKT, they were thinking about pushing bot with that big wave, but I think they wanted to buy some items and then prepare for Elder here. Definitely have a decent Elder with 2 Drakes taken so far, but they go back. They lose a little bit of... Oh, Bang's trying to go 1v1 here onto Justice. The ultimate is going to come down, but they can't quite fully engage. Justice has so many shields on the backside, but they push him out, and they also get that top turret.
And the first part is what I want to talk about. They push out a Ryze who has no lifesteal against an Ezreal that lifesteals to full instantly. The Ryze has no teleport either. The timing of the chunk out is why Bang took what looked like a risky trade on paper. It gets them a lot of advantages as a team, because Ryze is out of this next fight for a little while, and SKT at least gets a lot of control around the Elder.
They certainly do, but the Ryze is now going to be back. Oh boy.
That was extended range.
Yeah, now it's Wraith that's out of this one, so they don't have the engage from the Rakan. It looks like it will be all up to a steal, but actually Umti might have his life stolen away from him as he goes down. A little bit too optimistic on that one. Can't get the steal, and he loses his life.
Channeling the first 10 minutes of the game where he could have been that aggressive around Blossom. Game has changed, Umti, and sadly, you have not evolved with it. Too far behind. Was always going to be coming out of vision. SKT dot their I's, cross their T's, take a bot lane out of turret, and get their first meaningful gold lead of the first 35 minutes of the game.
You can see that bumpy ride they had to endure to get here, but they finally made it. The Knight's Vow going to be put onto Teddy in hopes that he can carry once again, but we've seen many games like this where Jin Air, they rely a little bit too much on the one player and it doesn't exactly work out. And now that they're in this position, not looking too good for them.
It's also a ranged champion giving the Knight's Vow buffs only half effectiveness onto Teddy, only 6% of the damage reduction. So while it's of course appreciated and there's plenty of items loaded onto Teddy, I think what you're alluding to seems pretty on the ball, Valdez. It feels like it'll be in vain for Teddy this game, who so often has unbelievable farm numbers and even 3 kills. Finding a way to get the most out of him requires a very specific team fight from Jin Air. They don't have a lot of team fight control unless Wraith is the one initiating. If he's initiating, you worry about the safety of Teddy in the backline.
You certainly do. Feels like there's not enough cleanses on the side of Jin Air, not enough QSSs, but you can only make so many. And everybody that needs one certainly has one at this point. I suppose the Ryze could use one, but working on some other items wants to be his own kind of fountain laser.
And someone needs to do damage, so yeah. There's always that trade-off when it comes to QSS. 2,600 gold spent on it this game, so actually makes the implied lead a little bit larger. Bang has already finished the Mercurial Scimitar, so at least getting some damage in that particular slot right now. That's some sick damage, though, from Teddy. He's found a new physical damage wave clear champion after Sivril exited the meta.
Yeah, Zaya's not half bad. Use a couple of abilities, one auto attack with the static shiv, and the lane disappears. So the slow push comes in from SKT. They're gonna get onto Teddy here, but missing all their skill shots, as Blossom is just the punching bag of this game so far.
Waiting to see Blossom's items. Last I saw was still very much anemic on the tank front, so no surprise that Teddy kind of just blows a bit of air in his direction. He kind of falls apart. The gathering storm is starting to affect the game very strong soon, as Blossom is too low for this play.
Okay, he's just going to get caught up, and he may have baited in Wolf too. They didn't see the members coming in. They didn't have the vision, and the stealth Kha'Zix comes in, slows them all up, and gets a couple kills.
That was so sleek by Wraith, who just knew they had enough damage to kill the Jax with just the quickness CC, and then had the grand entrance still up, get the second kill onto Wolf. Beautiful stuff from the Rakan, but it's 2 kills, and then what? It needs to be the next step. The Baron in 10 seconds seems to be what SKT realize. With no tanks, and now in the bot lane, they're not really in a position to contest. We'll see if they can get creative with a steal from the Paddle Star.
Yeah, perhaps Paddle Star, True Shot Barrage, some miracle work out of this team, but they're just going to fully give it away here, as one big mistake, you lose 2 members, including your jungler, and this is what you have to sustain. This is what you have to deal with. Now 3.5 minutes of Baron over to the side of Jin Air. Maybe this is going to be the super long game, Papa. Who knows?
Blossom should stop going near the Raptors. He's been too far up too many times, and you notice when we talk about Blossom, we never try to rank him in the LCK, because I don't think it's really relevant where he is on the tier list. I think what he brings to SKT ideology and playstyle is why he's been so strong. Are his mechanics great? Yes. Is his situational awareness bad? Yes. But he contributes to this team in a way that is more than just the sum of his parts. It's the sum of SKT. When he's in there, he will continue to make these mistakes, and he's still getting playing time over Blank. That means something.
Oh, yeah.
But this is just the flavor of what SKT with Blossom looks like. I'm excited to see him in a best-of-5 because it seems inevitable that he'll be playing in best-of-5s if SKT make it to the postseason. That's where he might get found out over multiple games.
Yeah. It's funny, I mean, he's got the highest vision score of anybody on the Rift.
What does it mean, Valdez?
He has the highest death score, too. It's like he's sacrificing his life to get one ward down and then dying. It's certainly not a good thing so far.
2 levels above Blossom is Umti. That's catch-up experience on the jungle monsters. Means you are able to maintain those leads, but we're about 10 minutes away from no level leads being there because we're going to have level 18 on everyone for too long, and Blossom does ping level 16 as I say that.
Yeah, you know, he's beginning to build up some items here.
Oh, it's always nice.
Eventually he's going to get there.
And it's always nice as an Orin when you actually take a turret down from the Gnar, so standing gold now being answered. It's only a 2,000 gold game. So we've already ellipsed the 37-minute game of Game 1, closing in on 44 minutes, the shortest game of the first series. Umti pretty damn farmed, but all of it flat lethality, so no scaling armor pen to deal with the damn tanking on top.
Yeah. And as I said before, this game certainly feels like a repeat of the last time these guys faced off, where it's you get into game number 2 and all of a sudden a couple mistakes either way, and it's very even going into 45 minutes. That's generally one of the first pieces of the puzzle when you're trying to create a 94-minute game.
And the irony should not be lost on fans that they picked the Jags to avoid a game like this. They could have taken Zach, which would have definitely been a very different game, would have given them a lot of engage to join the Leona, but they said, okay, we have Leona to threaten the backline. Take Jax so Kha'Zix doesn't get fed. Then Blossom made mistakes, and now you have a Jax from behind, and the Kha'Zix is fed. So that's a pretty big problem they tried to avoid with the last pick of the Jax for Blossom.
Well, speaking of Blossom, he's going in. They're trying to jump down the Kha'Zix here, but it's 1v4. All alone, he's going to go down. Once again, 6th death on the Rift here for Blossom, and certainly this is not helping at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's just unfortunately being too brazen. He's trying to pay back his bad early game with the play that wins them the game. But predictably, when there's already so many members of Jin Air on the bot side, it gives Jin Air more advantage. They take mid lane turret, out lane in a turret, and bot lane in a turret at the same time. 6 turrets out of nowhere, and Blossom needs to take a chill pill, otherwise SKT will lose this game.
If I were SKT, I'd say just wait for someone else to engage. Jax certainly can engage, but usually when you're in a good spot, when you're ahead. But not the case in this game, as first inhibitor looks to be taken down here by Jin Air. The mid inhibitor at least being delayed for now. They have an insane amount of poke. SKT, enough to delay it for now.
And Teddy's got some sick items. Has the Mega Edge.
Yeah.
I know it's called the Molten Edge, guys, but
Mega Edge.
The Super Mega Infinity Edge is complete for Teddy. He does have not 6 items with no boots, and we know that Jin Air don't win games when he has boots, so needs to fix that. Here's the damage dealt chart, and it doesn't feel like 21,000 damage out of a Zoe, but regardless, that has happened.
It also doesn't feel like 2,394 out of our Jax. Feels like a bit less. But I suppose that's been part of his downfall here. He's jumping in to do the damage, but then dying right after.
But also consider that he died twice and built Trinity Force anyway, which we criticized Blank for doing on the same team in the same season. We already saw Cuz have a great game on Carry Jax, and I think Carry Jax fit this game better. I think, you know, with the scoreboard off, you're like, okay, Trinity Force, that'd be great. I think when you fall behind, you just say, I just want to be a Counter-Strike bot, get 40% CDR, get some tankiness, and get a 6th item, not Infinity Edge, Trinity Force, in order to return to that. If you're tone deaf, you end up with a build like this where he's actually way squishier than the amount of gold he has suggests. Goes for a solo queue winning build as Umti cannot take too many paddle stars Very solo queue build. You see this on Vi and Jax all the time. Sterix Gage interacting with Trinity Force damage in a very positive way. It doesn't matter how much damage he theoretically does if he's always dead.
Yeah, and that's just Faker's game sense, right? He doesn't know 100% if someone's in there. There was no ward. He didn't see him. He's just like, let me throw out a quick paddle star. It's late enough in the game. I can expend some of my mana here.
You can also win the game for no commitment, right?
Yeah,
If it's the right paddle star and someone dies, they could just win the game.
It's just a good read out of him.
Blossom needs to not walk up to that Xayah.
Oh boy. Certainly not the most fun game for our Jax player this time around.
Good news, no boots on the Xayah.
Ooh, okay.
The Fountain Laser is here, as clearly Blossom found out, almost dying instantly to 1 round of damage.
Yeah.
How do you kill the Xayah? She has Flash, the heal, and the Mercurial Scimitar, and does just the most damage you could ever ask for.
And probably Gathering Storm, too.
Oh,
You'll notice the Sorcery Tree. We're nearing 50 minutes here, Papa, so...
He definitely has Gathering Storm.
I'm getting a bit worried that Xayah is nearing unkillable status.
I'm getting a bit excited because this could be a long one. Teddy's on a ward, so they know he's not grouped. They might look for a quick pick on the front line, but Blossom has finally learned his lesson.
Yeah, I think after that last one. Oh, 1v1. Bang trying to get on top of Justice here. Can't quite do it, though. Blossom is going to be knocked up in the front. They're trying to get onto Wolf here. Faker is going to run into Umti on the right side. Has to Zhonya's. Can he actually take him out here? And Umti looks like he might have gotten into the bad situation. Baits himself into that one. Gets taken out.
At the worst possible time, as Baron is about to spawn, Umti assassinating Faker's Kassadin in the 94-minute game is how Jin Air won. In this game, it was unnecessary from him, but Jin Air trying to go topside. They know Elder's going down. Without Smite, they're trying to roll the dice.
Yep, not a bad idea here. They have a Mountain Drake of their own.
They're just trying to finish it here.
Yeah, looks like they should be able to. No steal from the Leona this time. Realm Warp gets everybody out of there. They're trying to engage,
They're trying to chase. They're going to keep chasing. They're going to keep chasing. They don't want to allow recalls.
They're coming on in. Faker's going to rejoin up after going back to base. Here we go. Bang and Wolf getting close. So on. Not in the greatest position. They're going behind the turret here. This might be Blossom's moment to shine. The Counter-Strike coming in. Teddy, though, going to flash away. Justice is back. Did they go too far is the question. Did. Untara getting low now. They're going to take out the Rakan, but Wolf going to trade support for support. They go a little bit too far, but at least they get to disengage.
Those decisive shot calls, if the early game had gone differently, would have been smart, but you're opting into a 6-item Xayah, who was free hitting at the end. And Valdez, spoilers for your play-by-play. If Xayah is free hitting, they win every fight if it's 5v5. So bad move there from SKT. I like the optimism of the turret dive, but the moment they got the flash from Teddy, they realized their exit strategy was not as well formed as their entry strategy.
Yeah. So in the end, it turns out to be a 1-for-2 trade in the turret dive, but they get the flash. Worth it? I don't really know. You know, Jin Air, it takes them a long time to group up with the Baron minions and get in here before the members can spawn.
Man, I gotta say, somehow SKT versus Afrika 2017 has become Jin Air versus SKT in the next season, where the games just doesn't matter where they are in the ladder. Super, super hype. Even the Kha'Zix from Umti is shades of that 94-minute game and the assassinations on the Kassadin. Teddy's very frustrated he can't buy a 7th item slot and get some more sick items.
Maybe in the future.
He does have 6.5 with the Ornn item, and also 50% damage amp on the Rakan. He is monstrously strong, and that 5th Gathering Storm proc. Watch the AD carries if they're on the screen. I imagine both of them going to be showing. As Justice once again walks up. He might be dead here.
Oh, he's going to trade flash for flash, but Wraith, he gets on in there. That's going to be 1, make it 2. Double kill for the Xayah. Now getting into the back line. Here's Umti and Wraith. They want to get some more kills. Wolf going to sacrifice his life. That's a triple kill. Can he get any more? Might not matter as they get 3, and now they're pushing mid.
Teddy was a one-man jump scare. He was the one to just completely dash the hopes of SKT. Deletes members in an instant. They're rushing mid, and I think the game's over. I think we're going to game 3.
Looks like it. They've finally done it. 50 minutes comes in. And that might just ring the bell for game 2 to end here. It's going to be 2 on 5 as Faker tries to pull off the miracle. The shields all going to come in. The turrets go down. And that's going to do it here as Jin Air, they have brought us to another game. We're going to game 3, guys. Jin Air versus SKT. Going down onto that Nexus. That's going to do it. Game 2 goes over to Jinair.
In Teddy we trust, says Jinair. No longer is it the Alawi split push. No longer is it an elaborate poke comp. They just wanted to brawl, get down and dirty. The problem is that after SKT gave up some kills in the early game, they abandoned the siege game with Ezreal and Zoe. They opted into fights. Blossom so often was fishing for a pick, and every time he looked for action, he brought death to his own team. Fortunately for the side of SKT, this was what happens when you roll the dice with a rookie. It has worked for them in the past, it did not here. And well-deserved victory for Jinair means we get an epically hyped Game 3.
Wasn't sure how that one was going to end up. It looked like SKT was coming back in the mid-game after a bumpy early game. They pick off the Baron, and they try to push in, but after that, a couple of mistakes, and I think towards the end, it was an 0-8 Jax Blossom from the jungle. Here's a replay of that last fight.
Yeah, Justice was walking out, but he had Flash and Cleanse up, but they tried to get the pick. Blossom did not expect the early Flash, and then look at Teddy's damage. Outrageous damage. Instant killing. Just accidentally killing the Jax second with how much damage he did on just one rotation. Wolf tries to buy time for the rest of his team. Just donates a triple kill. Nothing he can do. One-way ticket in when you are the Leona. SK Telecom T1. Not finding easy opposition, not having Jinair roll over. We get a Game 3, and it could go either way. And it's also repeating the script. The games get longer, and Jinair wins Game 2, just like in that first series.
That's the way it goes, guys. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, the conclusion of the series.